1971 was the start of it all, but it was also the end of something, a system where money had meaning and growth lifted everyone. Before 1971, worker compensation and productivity rose in lockstep. Wages kept pace, the middle class grew, income gains were shared, not siphoned upward. Then, something broke. Inflation took off, the dollar lost its anchor. Essentials like housing, electricity, and food began outpacing wages by a mile. In 1970, a man could buy a home with 2.5 years of savings. Today, it takes over 7. Dozens of charts, dozens of economists all point to the same moment in history. So, what happened? If you want to hear the stories about gold and silver others don't tell, hit that subscribe button. This small act makes a meaningful difference in our ability to bring you new content regularly. Thank you. In 1971, Richard Nixon removed the United States from the gold standard, ending a process that began in 1933 with U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt in a bold attempt to pull the United States out of the Great Depression. Now, 92 years into the future, we are still feeling the ramifications of policies enacted nearly a century ago by men long buried. To understand the full impact on today's economy and gold prices, we need to look at history through a clear lens. In 1933, Executive Order 6102 was issued to mainly do two things. The U.S. government confiscated gold from the citizenry and simultaneously made it possible for the Federal Reserve to artificially increase the money supply. With this, U.S. citizens were no longer allowed to own gold beyond a mere token amount or exchange U.S. dollars for gold. However, foreign nations could still convert U.S. dollars into gold at a fixed rate. In 1944, the Bretton Woods system was established, which enabled U.S. dollar hegemony and made the dollar the reserve currency of the world. The promise underpinning the Bretton Woods Agreement was that the U.S. would maintain a fixed supply of dollars that could be redeemed in gold. Of course, this promise was not kept. In the 1960s, the U.S. began running persistent deficits, financing the Vietnam War and expansive domestic programs like the Great Society. Other nations became nervous and began redeeming dollars for gold, suspecting the U.S. was not maintaining its reserves in alignment with the number of dollars in the market. The London Gold Pool was a last-ditch effort to preserve the illusion of gold stability under the Bretton Woods system. In 1961, 8 central banks began coordinating to artificially stabilize the gold price at the official $35 per ounce level in the London market, which was the world's primary physical gold hub. When demand for gold pushed the market price over $35, the pool would sell gold to tamp the price down. When demand dropped, they would collectively buy back to keep it from collapsing. In 1968, a surge in gold demand forced the gold pool to dump enormous quantities of bullion, but it failed to restrain gold prices. Market rates went well over $35 an ounce, while official transactions still pegged gold at $35. The stage was set for what later became known as the Nixon Shock, when President Richard Nixon unilaterally pulled the plug on the convertibility of the dollar. U.S. gold reserves were draining fast, and more redemptions were incoming. Nixon was faced with a difficult choice: either default on the gold promise or lose the last of America's reserves. Nixon chose to preserve America's gold. By the time Nixon ended the Bretton Woods system, American gold reserves had declined from 20,000 tons to just 8,333 tons of gold. And this was the beginning of the new fiat currency world order and the rise of gold prices to the levels we are seeing today. With the end of the gold standard, economic power shifted, and the numbers don't lie. After 1971, the federal debt went from $398 billion to over $36 trillion. The dollar lost over 87% of its purchasing power, though some studies claim it is as high as 98%. Median home prices rose more than 1,600%, while median household income increased 475%. Productivity kept climbing, but wages never kept up. The top 1% captured most of the economic gains, while the middle class was slowly hollowed out. Fiat currency didn't just give governments more flexibility, it gave them a blank check backed by average Americans, and they've been writing it ever since Nixon closed the gold window. The old saying, "A dollar saved is a dollar earned," seems less and less true. A dollar saved in a bank account is worth less tomorrow than it is today, thanks to the corrosive effects of inflation. But what can be done about it? It's unlikely the federal government will ever return to the gold standard. Not only have our reserves been chiseled away, but reissuing dollars at a fixed rate to gold would be an enormous undertaking and would cause global disruption. And it's likely that nations currently holding US dollars would rush to exchange for physical gold again, reigniting the same problem that ended gold convertibility the first time. However, technology is enabling new solutions to an age-old problem, and where the federal government fails, state governments may find success. Several states have passed legislation recognizing gold and silver as legal tender, including Louisiana, Utah, and Texas, and even more are considering legislation to do the same thing. This movement aligns with Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution, which says that no state shall make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. By leveraging this constitutional provision, states are asserting their rights to promote sound money policies. These states are in the early stages of opening depositories, which provides a secure facility for storing precious metals and facilitating transactions backed by gold. And once done, this will pave the way for asset-backed cards, which allows spending and savings of precious metals like any other currency. Asset-backed cards are not a new concept, but they're relatively unknown and growing in popularity as technology improves and the growing realization of America's debt crisis hits home. It works like this. You exchange dollars for gold, which is held in secure storage. A card is issued, just like any debit card from a regular bank. You can buy gas, groceries, shop online, and make any other purchases you normally would with a credit or debit card. At the moment of the transaction, the gold is converted into dollars according to the current exchange rate. In the very near future, Americans will be able to choose what currency they want to put their faith in, gold or the US dollar. Where the dollar's track record has shown declining purchasing power over decades, losing at least 87% of its value, gold has held steady, even improved. Maybe the new saying won't be, "A dollar saved is a dollar earned," but "An ounce saved is an ounce earned." With asset-backed cards and secure vaults, people will be able to save and build real wealth without worrying about the silent theft of inflation. You won't need to wait long either. While the US government tends to move slow, the private sector is hard at work and working fast. APMEX already has a vaulted solution called OneGold, and we will be launching our own asset-backed card in the near future. If you want early access, you can sign up to be the first to know details and release dates by using the link in the description below. Gresham's law is an economic observation that states bad money will always chase out good money. Governments around the world start out with a good monetary system based on hard assets and slowly debase it over time to inflate the money supply. Eventually, the currency's value drops until it's virtually worthless and the currency fails. But maybe we can see Gresham's law working in reverse this time, through the actions of educated individuals who want greater stability, privacy, and sovereignty from their finances. This time, good money has a chance to chase out the bad, if enough people choose it. That's all we have for you today. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share with a friend. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.